hot number. Amen. I want to invite your attention again back to where we were on last Sunday. Mark chapter 5. Thine only Son endure before I drew my breath. Meditation of my heart, acceptable in thy sight. Sit the man down and stand the preacher up. Hush my voice so that I'll be a vessel used for your glory. And no flesh and glory in your sight. In Jesus' name. Amen. I want to look at this text with some heavy emphasis on Father. Last week, we dealt with it from the standpoint of who he was in the social life, or who he was by trade, or however you want to say it. He was the ruler of the synagogue. But this week, I want to look at verse 35. While he yet spake, there came from the ruler of the synagogue's house certain which said, Thy daughter is dead. Why troublest thou the master any further? As soon as Jesus heard the word that was spoken, he said unto the ruler of the synagogue, Be not afraid, only believe. And I may get in a little trouble, but I want to ask all the men in the house to raise your hand. And I want to use for subject, men have been singing today, the last Sunday of each month. Our men kind of take order in service. And I want to just give some instructions to men. I want to talk about real men believe. And I think that's what I'll talk about today. Real men believe. Give the Lord a hand to pray. Thank you, ushers. Real men believe. Let me say, the influence of the man in the family is so important. The influence of a man in a family is so important. The influence of a man in the lives of children is so important. I can stand and reflect on how great my life has been because I've had influential men in my life. My first hero was not Superman. My first hero wasn't Spider-Man. But my first superhero wasn't a cartoon character at all. He was not just a figure of my imagination. But my first hero was my father. A man who didn't birth me, but raised me. Lived a life that wasn't perfect, but pleasing. And so I see how others have turned out who only had one parent in the house. And now we live in an era where there are no parents. Because the mama is becoming the best friend. And the daddy, when he comes around every 2-3 years, he has to make up for not being there all along. So instead of it being a family affair, it's a social gathering. So I don't care what anybody says. I hear so many times, especially around Father's Day, my spirit is vexed when I see the ignorant posts from women who I thought were intelligent. Give honor to themselves. You may give honor to yourself, but you can never be a man. God made you who he wanted you to be. Although you may do extra because you are the only parent who is involved, that doesn't give you the title to classify yourself as having testosterone. You want a woman who shave her hair and dap like a man. She's still a woman. Go to the doctor and have a change of everything that God gave you, cut it off, slice it down, pin it up. You're still a woman. And families, to the most degree, have not had as much neglect from mother as a family have had from father. And we want to put all the blame in Washington. But the real trouble didn't start and don't start in Washington. Real trouble don't start downtown. Real trouble don't start with lying politicians. But it began with unfit parenting. And I wish you could take a panoramic view of the average household. When my mother was home, she would say, "Orlando, make your bed." I would use every excuse in the book that I wasn't making my bed without telling her that I wasn't going to make it. Now let me set the record straight. She was a cusser and she was crazy. And you mix a crazy and cusser together, you got yourself. And don't act like my mama was the only cusser. Some of you are cussing mamas. And one day I asked her, I said, "Mama, why you cuss so much?" She said, "Because sometimes that's the only so-and-so thing you understand." But even with her telling me, "Oh, you don't go and make the bed," my father's truck had a sound. Zoom. And boy, I would be happy as I could be. because the lifesaver was pulling in the yard. I'm getting ready to have a food. I'm getting ready to have my way. And I'm getting ready to tell my mama. Until one day, tables turned. She got to him before I did. Here's what she said. She said, Leroy, you need to make Lando get in there and clean up that so-and-so room. I've been telling him all day. He ain't moved. I've been telling him to do this. His head just as hard. You need to get on his butt. You know, it's not like a woman trying to tell her husband what to do, because in essence, she really telling him, you letting the boy pump you out. And don't no man want the wife to tell the child pump him out. And so this particular afternoon, he walked in the house and his demeanor was different. And here's what he said. Didn't raise his voice. Didn't go deep with our conversation. Didn't use a bad word. But he opened the door to my room. And here is what he said. He said, Lando, what did your mother tell you? By the time he got it out his mouth, the bed was made. Because he wasn't going back and forth like she did. He wasn't going back and forth. He was going to make a statement once and he was done with it. You know why? Because God gave men something that he didn't give nobody else. Men have authority. But here is the dilemma of 2020. We act our age when we don't need to. But we act our shoe size every day. And if you want to know why we have a failing black community, because we have deadbeat men. Who are going from house to house. And I won't tell you what they're doing. But making a baby don't make you a man. Taking care of one make you a man. Over the past 10 years, the number of murders by teens has risen from 1,000 per year to over 4,000. Over the past 30 years, there's been a 550% increase in violent crimes, a 400% increase in illegitimate births. Our community is so crazy that people will spend money on a baby shower, and the baby shower costs more than what the baby daddy gonna do in the lifespan of the baby. And the baby shower now, they put no emphasis on it than they do on getting married. Instead of bringing a bastard into the world. Because any child who is born out of wedlock is considered a bastard child. And these mothers now are too busy trying to purchase friendship from a child that they birthed, that they neglect the fact that they have an obligation to the child to lead the child in holiness righteousness. And so therefore, there's an increase in illegitimate children. And then there's a 200% increase in teen pregnancy. And then there's a 300% increase in teen suicide. And over 70% of all juveniles in the state, in state reformities, come from homes and households without a father. Hold up. Men, listen to me. Our responsibility is more than walking around pulling our pants and suspenders up. But we are needed in the service of God. And what really bothers me most is we live in a day and age whereby we want to be in authority but don't know how to operate with the authority. Because here is one thing I know that power would do. Power, absolute power, will corrupt an individual. Absolute. Yes, sir. If you want to see a real Negro, give him a book, a ink pen, and a set of keys. And so in looking, I wasn't preaching this today, I wasn't going to deal with it. But in looking at the text, it made me ask questions. And I want to ask you the same questions. Are you pleasing to God as you are? Are you really the first hero to your child? Will your family miss anything if you leave? If you're not already gone? Are you really the person in your family that your children and your grandchildren look up to? Are you taking all of God's money, doing other things that you shouldn't be doing? And if you ever want to see the pattern of a man after the image and in the likeness of God, Jairus would be one of those individuals. All right. And we ought to be ashamed of ourselves, man. Throwing all of the responsibility of parenting on the mother. And let me say this to you. That little child support ain't nothing. A child needs more than child support. The child needs the support of the parent in the child's life. Because whatever a child grow up to be, you took part in that. You grow up to be a little shooter. Maybe if you had a training, he would have been better. And man, it is our responsibility, as I said Sunday, it is our responsibility to be in our child's life, because our daughter ought to see who she desired to marry in us. And I know you're grown. I know you pay the bills. But can I say something to you? Every child, every man that comes through the house, your children don't need to see him. Every man that comes through the house, your children ain't got no business calling them uncle or calling them cousin. If you're a single mother and you're dating until you know he's an individual, a prospect for long term, your kids ought not even know who you are involved with, because at the end of the day, they ought to see God in somebody in the house. the same time. As I look and see how some men are operating, make my stomach turn. Because one thing that I didn't grow up with, Harry, you gentlemen, you deacons, hear me clear. My daddy was a real man.
All right. Yep.
Now, whatever you take of that, he was a real man. Did right by people.
Yes, sir. All right. Go.
And then he did right by us.
Yes, sir.
When I worked and on payday, he came home and brought money. And I remember him giving the money to mama saying, go buy the groceries.
All right.
Nowadays, we got men that'll use your EBT card and tell you what to pick up from the store. And nigga don't, I mean, if he don't bring no money and bring his own food, he sure wouldn't eat. Your kids eating corn dogs, this Negro eating steaks. So at this text, one thing I see in this man, real men believe in the real God. The responsibility of children being involved in church should fall on the women. The responsibility of children being involved in church ought to fall on us men.
That's right.
Because we're not just to lead in the back room at a meeting in the round table. We are to meet and live a godly life and set an example in public. It ought to be men. Men ought to be missionaries. Men ought to be on the mission society. Because we have a mission for God. We are not to lead the line from the back of the line, but we are to get in the front of the line and pull the entire line. We ought to be leading and giving. We ought to be leading and supporting our pastor. We ought to be leaders in Bible class. Leaders in Sunday school. We ought to be leaders in our communities. I didn't feel you were going to shout today. I didn't feel you. I knew you wouldn't. I knew you shouted enough last time. I've come to talk to you today. I want to set the record straight this morning. That's what I come to today. Look at this man. Look at Jairus. Verse 22. Jairus, sisters, brothers, look at how he approached Jesus. Look, you got your Bibles open? And behold, there cometh one of the rulers of the synagogue, Jairus by name, and when he saw him, he fell at his feet. Now, this is a touchy subject. But can I tell you the one thing that I know real men do? Real men worship. Real men know how to get in the presence of God. See, somebody messed you up a long time ago and said men don't cry, but that's crazy. That's crazy. Because this man was a man of power. He was a man of distinction. He was the ruler of the synagogue. When he walked in a room, everyone stood up and recognized who he was. This powerful man, this prominent man, this influential man, he was not ashamed to humble himself himself in the presence of the Lord. What bothers me? We got dead man. Shh, hush, little baby, hush. What bothers me is people, listen to me, if you will. Men want to get up and do everything in public. But I ain't doing nothing in private. Something wrong with you if your family see you at church and in public and wondering who you are because you change by the time you get back to the house.
Lay it on, lay it on.
Nice to Miss Carrie. Nice to Addie Lee. Nice to little Shaquika. But ain't worth a damn to your own family and your own children. They don't even know who you are. Mean and grouchy. Kids can't even talk to you. Family can't even say nothing to you. Family can't even wake up in the morning and say good morning. You say, what's good about the morning? But everybody else, talk to your wife like a dog. Talk to your significant other like a dog. But sweet as apple cobbler to somebody else's wife. This happens when you are a counterfeit. This often happens when you are a hypocrite. Be who God called you to be every day. You ain't got to turn your switch on and off. I don't just help people at church. I don't just do it to be seen. Matter of fact, if I was as cold-hearted as some folk, I would have a whole lot of money. But I give a lot of mine away. Because if I see you smile, that gives me joy. I wish you had some help with me. When I do unto others, I'm doing unto God. And one day, every seed I've sown into the life of somebody else, when I get to heaven, my bank account will be overflowing with the riches. Every time I do something around here, on ground level. See, this is just ground level. Whatever I do it on ground level, I just believe if I can use my spiritual imagination, I'm putting a new star in my new crown. So, it is our responsibility. And let me say this to you, man. If you got to say you are one, you're not who you say you are. I don't walk around the house talking about my feet. My feet, my feet, my feet, my feet. My feet, my feet, my feet. I got feet. Talk. Want to get out of bed? Just walk on my feet.
That's right.
Got to remind my feet that they my feet. They my feet. It needs to be done now. Amen. What are you talking about? Now, hey, you retarded. And you got to walk around and talk to your limbs and tell them that they're yours. My hand, my feet, my nose, my gonna look at you and say, will you look at that so-and-so? So if you're a real man, you don't have to walk around with a certain demeanor. Just be who you are. I walk around in church, I'm the pastor. They ain't gonna go the way I say. Y'all gonna do the way I do. No. Matter of fact, most of you come to me, I say, well, you know, I don't run around here. Be Jairus went and found Christ. But he went to him.
We gotta find it.
And he went to Christ. Fell down. And said, go home with me. Because in the Greek text, he says, if you go with me, she gonna live. If she dies. If you go with me, you gonna change the situation. And men, if we invite them into our homes, I just believe the home will change. If we invite them into the home, I just believe the community will change. And if we invite them into the home, I just believe the church will make a difference in the community in which she stands. If we invite them in. But we're so macho now that we have no room for the master. Because us and him can't dwell together. Somebody got to become the least common denominator as it relates to Jesus Christ the Savior. And when it comes to me and him, I let him take the floor. I let him take the stand. I let him have his way in my life. He finds Jesus. Falls down. Not only do he fall down, but he worships him. Real men know how to worship. Oh yeah. I know it's old school. You sit there and you fold your arm and you look like you important. And a whole bunch of men I know don't know the 23rd song. But they want to brag on their man. Find Jesus. That's why you got so much trouble in a lot of churches. Because you put folk in position just because they are men by gender, but don't know the master in spirit. And you wonder how many ministries become miseries because you put miserable people in position. That's why I'm so big on church training and conferences and discipline, because guess what? People got to be trained, and guess what? They ought to be trained the right way. Because the reason why a lot of our churches, especially our Black Methodist and Baptist churches, are so unstructured, because when they were formed, when we were in the cotton fields, we didn't meet but once a month. And you didn't have enough preachers for as many churches that popped up in different communities. So Deacon Bob would be the head deacon here. And Deacon Carmel, he the head deacon over there. And so people didn't see the pastor but once a month. But they saw Deacon Carmel and Deacon Bob every day on the plantation. So that same plantation that he was on, the same white man that ruled him Monday through Friday, he took on that nature of the white man on Sunday and ruled us in our once a month churches. So that means that whole thing has been carried from generation to generation. But we got to have a head deacon. You ain't got to have no head nothing. When Jesus is the head and everybody is under the subjection of the Holy Spirit, that's all that you need. Because anything with more than one head is a freak of nature. It's a monster.
All right. I'm talking now. Talk.
Found Jesus.
Out. Hurt.
Fell down. And he worshiped him. So my daughter is sick.
All right.
In verse 23, he begs. Verse 22, look at how he approached it.
All right.
Verse 23, the A clause, he made an appeal. He begged. Because he knew he was helpless within himself. He knew he couldn't do it without the touch of the master. And let me say this, he really, when he came to Jesus, falls down before him and makes his petition to the Lord, he's really saying to Jesus, I cannot do this thing, but I believe you can. Real men don't walk by their own sight. Real men walk by faith. I said, real men walk by faith. If I can help somebody as I travel along, if I can help somebody with a word or song, if I can do my duty as a Christian altar, then my living shall not be in vain. So they kept walking and they were interrupted. He was going to Jairus' house. Somebody came to him and said to him, your girl is dead. Verse 35. Leave Jesus alone now. Jesus turns after he hears what one of the persons from his house come back and tell him, and said to him, the little girl is going to be okay. That's really what he said, because he said, only believe. If I can get some men to stand with me and say, I'm going to believe regardless of how it looks. If I can get some men to stand and say, I'm going to believe beyond the dilemma, because the dilemma was that the little girl was sick. Then not only do you believe past the dilemma, but you got to believe past the delay. Because as Jesus was on his way to Jairus' house, the woman with an issue of blood held up the process. So not only do you believe past the dilemma, you believe past the delay, but you got to believe past the death. Because the little girl died. And sisters and brothers, some things got to die. God let some things die. Some relationship got to die. Some friendship got to die. But even when it dies, you still make it, because God says, I don't work in your time and I work in mine. And sometimes God allows things to die so that when things come back to life at his command, he get all the glory. Reason why sometimes hell is on your trail and hell is in your house is because God wants you to know, I'm going to let you work through this, but you got to give me all of the glory. What would you be without a little trouble? What would you be without a little affliction? What would you be without a little turmoil? Every now and then, God allowed the heat of life to be turned up. To sometimes test your faith and see what you're going to do. So men, here's what happened. When real men believe, deliverance take place. Because after they made it to the house, the little girl died. Jesus went in. Took Peter, James, and John, his inner circle with him. See, sometimes the reason why you can't make it because you're trying to take too many people in the same room with you. Some people got to be left on the outside on the porch. Stop trying to take everybody in the room. The room ain't big enough for doubters. The room ain't big enough for people who don't have no faith. The room ain't big enough for people who don't see like you see. The room ain't big enough for people who have a little mentality. The room is not big enough for people who ain't been nowhere and ain't trying to go nowhere. The room is too small for little-minded people. You got to take people in the room with you that see what you see and believe beyond what's laying in the bed. Jesus walks in. that which was dead,
Bring it home. Bring it home. Bring it home.
Jesus brings it back
Oh,
to
yeah.
life.
Yeah.
You know, when you were in sin,
All right.
you too were dead.
Hold on.
But let me tell you what happened.
Come on now. Come on.
When Christ enters a life
Yeah.
for real,
Yeah.
that life
That's like.
is never the same.
Yeah.
Because he gives light
Right.
in dark places.
Yeah.
Since Jesus
Yeah.
came into my heart,
Yes, sir.
seeds of joy flood my soul
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Talk.
like the sea billows roll.
Yeah.
I made my mind up.
Yes, sir. Right.
I made a choice to go through a divorce.
All right.
But in that choice,
Yeah.
I had to make another choice.
Yeah.
That even if I divorced the marriage,
Yeah.
I never divorced my children. And I see myself now
Yeah.
in my future planning.
All right.
I'm trying to lay one brick on the ground at a time
Yeah. Yes, sir.
so that my son
Yeah. Talk.
would not make many stumbles.
Yeah. Hold on.
But I'm trying to lay the right brick
Yeah.
so he can step in the right place.
Oh, yeah. All right.
When we're in conversation, I have to talk to him sometimes and say, son, I don't talk to him trying to stay his friend. I talk to him because I got to be his father. And so I notice him oftentimes when I'm preaching, he's attentive. Because he don't just see the pastor on Sunday.
Yeah. Talk.
He see him when I pick him up on Friday. I wish that happened with me. He don't just see a godly man on Sunday, and those things that may be said without his ears. I'm not saying that I'm a perfect individual by no means, but in the life of my children,
Yeah.
you got to set me in the right example before your children. And one day when it's over,